5 different vendors. They send us their USB pricing every week. Some of them send it monthly as well. It changes that often. The original state of affairs was you took this information they gave us, printed it out, compared it to the previous week, highlighted the ones that changed, and then went and changed them all individually in a spreadsheet, which was then uploaded, correct?
Well, that was the plan,
Oh, that was
but
the
that
plan.
was changed, yeah.
So
it
what was the
actually-
original plan? I
It
thought that
was taking each quantity, each color, each item, and doing math for each, and then plugging it back into
So
the
it's even
spreadsheet.
worse.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's low-hanging fruit. You know that there's gotta be a better way to handle something like that. It was taking an average of about 4 hours a week just to do the USB pricing, and there had to be a better way.
USBs from multiple suppliers,
Yeah,
or from all? from-
Norwind, iClick,
Okay, so
PCI,
some
Sweden.
sort of primary USB group that we
Yeah.
track. Okay.
Yeah.
Norwood was definitely the heaviest with almost 300 individual mathematical equations to go through.
14-page document.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. So at that point, Anna took it and said, there's gotta be a better way to handle this. There has to be a way to make it easier and to cut down, human error was a huge part of it. One week it would be fine, and then the next week there'd be mistakes, and there's so many numbers to check between the math and just transposition. There was just a lot of error going on.
Yeah, Tim had come up to me and asked me to create an SOP for it and to clean it up, to send it off to AWS to have them actually take over doing it, because it was 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours a week, just to do that. And we had a very small team. There was just me and then Kristen as my supervisor and then Tim, so we didn't really have a lot of time to do it. And as I was cleaning it up, we set out a plan. We said we're going to do the SOP, we're going to clean it up, we're going to send it out. And as I was cleaning it up, I noticed that we could actually take a lot less time just by, as she had said earlier, printing out this week's, comparing it to last week's, and only changing the stuff that had just changed. But we were finding that Norwood would, or any of the vendors really, would come up to us and say, you know what, we actually gave you incorrect pricing for that week. So, you're not just changing it for 1 week, you've got to make sure going forward that these prices are current and exactly as they have given it to us. So that process went out the door as well. After that, I actually came up with a math tab sheet where you literally just read the number off what the vendor has given us and you type it in, and it takes about 15 minutes now to do the process. So through the formulas that I created in this math tab that are hidden that nobody can touch, it's created a lot less room for error, and it takes a lot less time. We're from 3.25 to 4 hours down to 15 minutes. And we've incorporated all the other vendors into this process because it is so quick now.
This is something.
This flew right over. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You went from
I
4
took-
hours. What did you do?
I took it's kind of complicated. I made a brand new spreadsheet in the workbook that they had. So like Norwood has their own spreadsheet, and I created a tab where everyone just types in what they read off what the vendor has given us. I do have examples if you want to see it. And in behind the scenes in Excel, I've written formulas in there so that it'll take, a $5.36 cell from Norwood. It'll do it through our marginal pricing and then add it into all the different colors for that quantity for that item. So it's just typing it exactly as you see and letting Excel do all the math.
So we're getting a piece of paper from a vendor.
Well, sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's us going to their website and I'm printing it out for visualization. Because it's so many numbers, it's a lot of numbers to read through.
By the way, is it possible to get this stuff electronically from the vendor?
That's where we do it. We get it electronically. And I print it out so that I can read it
You
easily.
can't, but it's not integrated, Jean, getting back into integrating the selected suppliers, the
No,
conversation.
what I'm saying is if you have an Excel, is it an Excel sheet?
We've created an Excel
But-
sheet
but
that we
could
dump
you-
into.
Could you get it in an Excel file format?
No, Norwood one, I don't know that Norwood would do that. We do get some Excel folders from Tempo, but they're very small vendor. Yeah.
You talk a little bit about your failures throughout your process and how you use the Plan, Do, Check, Act method to come up with your best measurements.
Well, we would meet once a week or twice a week and see, the way we were measuring it is how many times we had to redo all the USBs, because if you make one mistake, it's replicated through each color. And then how many emails are coming through our product red email inbox would tell us, you know, you've got this wrong, you've got that wrong, the vendor's saying it's a incorrect pricing. So we would know by how many times we were redoing that work that was not an acceptable solution for some of the processes, which is why this one works so well. We just haven't had any people coming back to us saying it's incorrect.
And how many times did you have to go back and doing your check process before you finally got one that you were satisfied with?
We had to redo the entire process over 3 times.
Do you share that information then with the pricing people in corporate programs after? Because they have to redo the same information as well, or they get it just separately?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
I think they get the same information.
Yeah, corporate,
separately.
yeah.
They don't use the same pricing thing, that's another conversation, but I didn't know if you share it with Amy, who's right across the way from you or not, so I'll follow up on that.
Okay, and if they have a hard time too, I don't know if they do different margins, if they do different cell pricing. You know, the way we set it up, it's on a C or an A or a B, and then we do our own Geiger and then pricing margins. So if they need that, it's anyone coming into the process now can easily go through it, and if they had to change something, if there's a new margin, if Geiger's going to go to a new margin, it's literally just changing a 60 to a 20 or however, and the whole formula will take it in.
It doesn't work that way for programs, but that's another conversation for another day, yeah.
Or
But still,
they just make new nets.
no, they have to, well, okay, what happens is you would have, let's say, 120 sites, but you might have, so you have 120 different contracts. And contracts hold pricing for certain times and certain things, so their pricing isn't based on margin, it's based on a combination of date and margin release based on contractual relationships.
They still need to have net
And
prices.
yeah, they
as
do,
they
they do,
change.
they manually do
So-
the new nets, but they
so-
don't base their sell on that.
But they need to have new nets
That's correct.
regularly.
That's
And
correct.
so you can still have you can take the same basic material and just have another tab and have just different formulas, or just have nets go to a different place.
And they don't get their data from the PIM, so no, that's not correct. Well, that's another conversation for another time. But that's really
Yeah.
impressive, because I know how difficult it's been for the team, especially with the associates, that we've had all that turnover in product data, and so this really does eliminate a lot of the transpositions and the math at times, so very, very impressive. Because Bob would do, would just type that information in
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah,
right?
it's like Tuesday afternoons, that's all we were doing.
He was doing,
Yeah.
he did
And-
USBs.
And the fact that we didn't have to send it out and
Mhm.
have to keep proofing, because I knew it was gonna take a lot of time to just proof the stuff that we get back from AWS, so I was really hoping to kind of eliminate that as well.
That's fantastic.
And one piece I was really also impressed with you guys, that you took Norwood as your sample size, so you made sure it was small and not affecting every single USB drive when you first started, and worked through your Plan, Do, Check, Act with just the Norwood, and then were able to incorporate the rest of the USB drives once you came up with a great process. So, kudos to you guys for using that.
Just one last thing, the data you're putting into the PIN itself, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, there's a sheet that gets loaded into the PIM, and that sheet hasn't been actually manipulated other than to be referenced to a new tab.
In PIM, but the information goes into the PIM manually or through a load from an Excel spreadsheet?
It's a load.
From an Excel spreadsheet,
From the spreadsheet that we're working on.
thank you.
Why are, and you might not be answer this might be an offline question, why is there so much volatility in USB pricing?
It's a commodity. It's much like t-shirts were, I'll honestly look at Rachel on this, but we had the same issue with t-shirts about 18 months ago. And so pricing changes from week to week. And the previous workaround prior to the print, again, is when the salesperson was ready to enter an order, they would call or have your CSR call, or CRS call, you know, PCNA, Norwood, Sweda, iClick is usually the top four. They'd say, can you give me the pricing for USBs this week? And then they would get the best net, and then they would work from there. So every individual would call. So the supplier would say, well, check our website. And they would then call us and say, what's the password to get into the website? And so you get this whole circular thing. So the PIM stops that.
Well, how do the salespeople get this information?
Now they just send us in the order, and then they trust that we'll use the right net.
Are
They don't
you-
even-
Are you saying they're not calling?
I think they get it through P Plus, they just look it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. They're not calling to the same frequency level. Some still call.
Calling us or calling suppliers?
Usually they call the supplier, or they'll go in the Geiger Research Group and say, who's got the best net this week for our USBs?
So then you're saying they're probably not checking our website or our PIN?
No, I'm saying that if there are fewer people that do this reduction in calls as compared to prior to the PIN, but there's still some that still do it.
But we don't know how much.
No, we don't, because they're calling suppliers directly.
Correct, okay, so then the presumption is that, I would presume then that there's a lot of salespeople that don't even know that this information exists or where it exists.
Yes, and/or there are a lot of salespeople who don't use the tools we have, who may know it, but aren't comfortable with technology and don't use the tools we have. That is correct.
I've got nothing. Go
If
ahead.
they weren't comfortable with using P Plus or something, because that is a little bit, aggressive, they could also look just on the website but it's different margin.
There's lots of training out there that Tara and Carrie do on our tools, including P Plus, but we have a small percentage, but a percentage that won't use the technology because of their skill sets.
And they want to talk to a real person.
Correct?
If they go into P plus, what do they see when they go into P plus?
It'll give them this week's nets, and it'll
But
tell
no,
them,
no, where will they go to see, what will they see?
when they go to the apps, they can go to product lookup, they can type in USB or the item number that they're interested in. It'll pull up, all the different colors, and it'll give them a whole rundown of pricing, nets, and all that jazz.
By vendor?
By item, they can do it by item. They can do it by I think they can do it by vendor. Yeah, I think they can do it by vendor.
Well, they have two ways. You can go under the special pricing app or product app. There's an app called special pricing. And so you could search USB. And corrected, it's sub, but you can do it that way. So there's actually two ways you can go about it.
So there's probably other products that could kind of mirror this process too, having go in and update frequently.
If there were frequent products update, yeah, but we don't have any that I know of the USBs that are this frequent.
It's just the USBs you have to do this with.
So who is AWS? Maybe
I think it's called Alternative Work Systems.
who are they and why do you need to send them things?
They're an outside source that we use for sometimes if we can't get temp help.
They do a lot of manual work for us.
All right.
And Crestline Graphics used to use them to do
Correct.
some graphic stuff.
So how do they play into this project again? Can you explain that again?
Our plan was to give it to them because it was so many hours. We were
Gotcha,
just gonna hand it over.
gotcha. So now you aren't doing that any longer? That was your
It
plan?
takes like 15
So
minutes.
you had a couple
Yeah.
of improvements, so you
Yeah.
looked at this and we're gonna improve it.
Right.
And before you finished, you already improved your A3 already. So looking at this, you've got the one plan that you improved upon, and this is what you ended up with below.
Right, and the second process cut the time down practically by half But there was so much defect, we were getting emails like, this is not right, so we realized there's too many updates going on, we've got to update every single item, no matter what, every quantity, every color, every item. So that's why we did it this way.
I know for at least Norwood, one of the neat things was that there were a bunch of different types of USBs that all had the same pricing, but you still had to check each one to be sure it was updated correctly. And with the new formula setup, you only have to do it once.
How much volatility is there in tweaking? If you've got 1,000 items, how much change in a given week is there?
It depends, it could depend on the week, it could depend on the vendor. I
Over
mean,
the range, is it like 3% or 40%?
you mean just 1,000 generic items? It
Just in a given
could
week,
be like 10 or 15 items that are
out of how many?
out of 1,000.
So it's a small number that changes each
Yeah,
week. It's not like half of the stuff is changing.
I'm the one handling the changes, and it's not taking my entire day. So it's not a lot, it's just, when they do come in, USBs can get overwhelming. Because there's so many USBs, and they change every single week.
But you must have to look at every item though to see whether it's changed or not.
No, not with the new process.
No, but before you were
Yeah,
having to
yes.
compare, so even if only a few changed, you still had to look at.
You still had to look at it, you still had to do the math, because you're not given a net. You've got to put it in a net, so you've got to do the
So
math.
a calculation on every single item, whether or not, to
Mhm.
find out whether it had changed.
Right.
So it's ridiculous.
It was not easy.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
So you get your list price,
Oh,
but we
man.
get EQP. So you have to look at the end quantity price and know what commission code is for the EQP. Or it
Well,
might be
it
EQP
wasn't,
less 5.
Norwood
Yeah.
didn't do that at all.
What did you get for Norwood?
Norwood was every single quantity, so you had to do the 50 kilometers, 25, 50, 100. You had to do 6 or 7 different point breaks,
Why should,
because you didn't get in quantity pricing.
For
Some,
just the
some
USBs.
companies you do,
Yeah.
but not Norwood.
Because you don't, some you don't get EQP for USBs
Right.
because of this market pricing volatility. They
It's just
just
messy for everyone.
say no. It's like lobster.
Yeah, and some of the,
It changes.
Some
I mean,
of the
it's nowhere
vendors-
near as fun as lobster.
some of the vendors would do 5th quantity pricing unless it was over a certain amount, then it was 6th quantity. So you had to really pay attention to the
Right.
vendor and the
Right.
margins. Now you don't think, literally type in the price you see, you just type it in.
So in addition to the savings in terms of time for you guys, you also are saving what you would have had to pay that outside service to continue to do this work.
Also, a lot of saving and rework. I'm not doing so much product red.
Were we sending stuff to AWS in the old process before, or were you?
No, we were planning to.
You were planning to send it to
Yeah.
them, and, okay.
That was the original improvement idea.
When Bob left us, you know, we were like, wow, he's not gonna do that anymore. Where are we gonna, who is gonna do this? And we just didn't have the time to do it.
Pretty impressive, to save that much, not to mention time, but not to mention frustration. And then the error thing is sort of incalculable, what the problems are there if you're making errors, and inevitably you will be.
When you think about spending your time on value-added work, that number crunching behind the scenes does not necessarily add value to the customer. So it frees you up to do other things that are more.
And I feel like there's a lot of value add for the customer because they're not having to redo orders over and over.
Well, I'm looking forward to looking at your phone.
Better make sure that's all logged.
It's all, they don't want you in there, Bob.
Behind the bars.
Don't look behind, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
stay focused, focus on the end.
Well, I just think this is a really great, I think this is really great just because, we talk about the PAM a lot of times. I think people that aren't directly involved with it think of the PAM as like this, almost like the the monolith from 2001 is just this big beautiful thing that you touch it and magically things happen, but there's so much that's happening behind the scenes that that people that aren't in the know don't know about, and there's people behind the technology. Without the people, the technology is useless. So,
Yeah. I mean, the PIM just does what you tell it to.
yeah, it's
And it breaks me back to like, don't do what you should be doing.
there is no magic wand.
No.
I'd also like to mention Anna has now gotten her CIP. This was her last piece.
So I'm expecting to walk out here with my certificate and my nameplate.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like we have to improve our process.
I know, we do, we do.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Heather.
That's it.
If you want them, Bob, I really do have them over here.
Yeah, give it to him. Give it to him.